Hello, dear students. Welcome to the English literature class on Victorian age. In the previous class, also we have discussed the features of Victorian age, the conditions in the society, the writings of the writers, how Victorian age literature flourished, and what are the features of the Romantic age that were carried into the Victorian age. All these things we have discussed in the previous class. And I have also given you I have also, yeah, are you able to see the captions? Are you able to see, Sherfu?
Sir?
Are you able to see the captions,
No,
subtitles?
sir. No,
No?
sir. No, sir.
Ah, okay then. But if I send this class after recording, you can view the captions. That means just like in English films, you can see the subtitles. Okay. The other day we were discussing the Victorian age. Mr. Ashok, turn off your video. Why? Because if you turn on your video, your data will be completed. We were discussing the features of the Victorian age. I gave you some points to work on at your home and asked you to explain. Each one of you should speak for 2 minutes or 3 minutes or 1 minute, but you must try on the exercise that I have given you. I have asked you to speak on the features of the Victorian age and also on the important writers of the Victorian age. Uh, So now one of you should explain about the work that I have given to you in the earlier class. Will you volunteer or should I call you? Will you volunteer or should I call you? Yes?
Sir?
Yeah, come on. Mumtaz,
Sir.
go on.
Okay, sir. Thank you. The Victorian period of the United Kingdom was a time of Queen Victorian rule from 1837 to 1901. This time was very prosperous for the Britain people. Trade was at its best. By this time, the role of the monarchy was to reign rather than rule. One of the most important change of the Victorian era was the making of Savage system in London. This
Which system?
Savage system, sir.
Read the spelling.
SCWAGE.
Huh?
SCWAGE, sir.
SCWAGE, sewage.
Sewage, sorry, sir.
Sewage
Sewage
means that is a drainage system.
dryness.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. This period is widely considered to be golden age of the novel, and especially for British novels. It was the time of world first industrial revolution, political reform, and social change. Charles Dickens and Charles Darwin, a railway boom, and the first telephone and telegraph. The Britain was transformed from a predominated ruler agriculture society into an urban industrial one. We have to observe the features of Victorian age, democratic and education development, end of social unrest, trade relationships, development of arts and science, peaceful society. These are all the characteristics of Victorian age. And then the great poets in the Victorian age are Charles Dickens, and he's famous for David Copperfield, and the George Eliot, his work Adam Bede, Elizabeth Barrett Browning, her work The Cry of the Children, Robert Browning, My Last Duchess, Thomas Carlyle, The Heroic in History, Oscar Wilde, The Importance of Being Earnest, Alfred Tennyson, Ulysses,
Ulysses. Ulysses.
Ulysses, Robert Louis Stevenson, Treasury Islands.
One second. R.L. Stevenson's Treasure Island is a very famous novel, and if you read it, all of you will like. I have that film also in CD with me. If you want to see, you can see it. Excellent novel and a super film, Treasure Island. All of you should see. If I have it in YouTube, I will send the link to you. Or if it is available on Amazon Prime or like that, I will send the link to you. You watch it, and let us discuss in the class one day on this film, Treasure Island. And also, if possible, you can read the write-up of the novel Treasure Island by R.L. Stevenson. All of you will like it. You will like it very well. Continue, Mumtaz.
Okay, that's it, sir.
Okay, good. Good, Mumtaz. Very good explanation of the Victorian age. You did well. You did some homework. And I also wish to appreciate you for you have sent immediately the name of I asked you the pen name of pen name is George Eliot, and I asked her the actual name, and you immediately sent that. What is the name, actual name?
Mary Ann Evans.
Yeah, Mary Ann Evans. Mary Ann Evans is the actual name of George Eliot. She's a writer, famously known as George Eliot, but her actual name is Mary Ann Evans. You immediately sent it. Very good, Mumtaz. Good work. If you do like this, you will definitely improve your skills, and you will be able. If you work like this only, definitely you will get a good seat in MA in a good university, and also if you continue the work, you will also have a good chance of clearing SET or NET. That will help you in future. Good, well done.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Next, you volunteer yourself. Volunteer yourself. అంటే మీరే ఎవరని చెప్పాలని.
Hello, sir.
Hello, Sharfu.
So I'm gonna speak about the Victorian period now.
Okay.
So the Victorian era, or the age of Tennyson, covers the period from 1832 to 1887. The reign of Queen Victoria extends from 1837 to 1901. The Victorian age is one of the most remarkable periods in the history of England. It was an era of material affluence, political consciousness, democratic reforms, industrial and mechanical progress,
One second.
scientific
1 second. You said material
affluence,
affluence. Okay, good.
material affluence, political consciousness, democratic reforms, industrial and mechanical progress,
You
scientific
underline the words. Let us discuss the words after you finish your assignment.
Okay,
You
sir.
underline those words. Let us discuss those words. Okay. Continue. Therefore.
Scientific advancement, social unrest, educational expansion, empire building, and religious uncertainty. So, the characteristics of Victorian period include serialization, industrialization, class, science versus religion, progress, nostalgia, the women question, utilitarianism.
Yeah.
So, coming to the historical summary of the Victorian age, amid the multitude of social and political forces of this great age, four things stand out clearly. First, the long struggle of the Anglo-Saxons for personal liberty is definitely settled, and democracy becomes um, the established order of the day.
Very good.
Second, because it is an age of democracy, it is an age of popular education, of religious tolerance, of growing brotherhood, and of profound social unrest. Third, because it is an age of democracy and education, it is an age of comparative peace. And fourth, the Victorian age is especially remarkable because of its rapid progress in all the arts and sciences and in mechanical inventions.
Very good.
There are a few quite famous novelists and writers with their notable works. Um, I'm gonna talk about them, the writers of the Victorian period. The first one is Charles Dickens. He was born on 7th Feb 1812 and passed on 9th June 1870. His plays include A Tale of Two Cities.
No, no, come
Uh,
again, come again. One second, come again. Not, they are not plays, novels.
okay, his novels, his notable works include A Tale of Two Cities, David Copperfield, Great Expectations, Oliver Twist, The Pickwick Papers, and A Christmas Carol. The second is George Eliot. This is the pen name of Mary Ann Evans. She wrote seven novels called Adam Bede, The Mill on the Floss, Silas Marner, Romola, Felix Holt, The Radical, Daniel Deronda.
Daniel Deronda.
Third is Alfred Lord Tennyson, or first Baron Tennyson. He was born on 6th August 1809 and passed away on 6th October 1892. He was the poet laureate during much of Queen Victoria's reign. Uh, yes, and his poems include Ulysses, The Lady of Shalott, In Memoriam, Crossing the Bar, The Princess, Idols of the King, The Eagle, etc.
It is not idols, it is idylls.
Idylls.
Yeah. Idylls. IDYLLS.
Idylls.
Ah.
Okay, okay, sir. And next, Charlotte Bronte. She was born on 21st April 1816 and passed away on 31st March 1855. Um, and her notable works include Jane Eyre, Villette, The Professor, and Shirley, A Tale. And the next one is Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Her works include Sonnets from the Portuguese, Aurora Leigh, poems, The Cry of the Children, etc. And the last but not the least one is Robert Browning. He's famous for dramatic monologues. Born on 7th May 1812 and passed away on 12th December 1889. His notable works include My Last Duchess, The Ring and the Book, Men and Women, Fra Lippo Lippi, Meeting at Night, Andrea del Sarto, Sordello, etc. And there are few other writers too, like Samuel Butler, H.G. Wells, and Thomas Carlyle. Mainly Thomas Carlyle's including notable works include Sorter Resorters, Past and Present, Heroes and Hero Worships, and the French Revolution, etc. That's about the Victorian period. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah. Mm. Swati is trying to join, but I think her network is not good. Yes. Now she got admitted. Welcome, Swati. You sit at a place where you get more and more network. Huh? Swati? Yeah, I think her network is not good. Her village is somewhat remote than yours. Yeah, okay. Well done, Sharfu. You did good work. You have you read that book well. I think about, on the Victorian age from that WWW Long History of English Literature.
Yes, sir.
And you must also go through. I told you that I will give you Lagoy and Kazamin book.
Yes, sir.
I'll give that book. You also go through Victorian age from the point of view of Lagoy and Kazamin also.
Sure, sir.
See, this Long and all these people are English people. And Lagoy Cazamin are French. They wrote it from a different perspective. And I I ask you to name those points. Let us discuss those 4 points one by one. And after that, Varakumari will tell.
The points.
Yeah, the 4 points, what you mentioned.
Yes, sir. The first one is material affluence.
Material affluence. Yeah. What is material affluence? All of you listen. Material affluence. What is material affluence? Can anyone tell? Affluence. Affluence. What is meant by affluence? Can anyone tell what is meant by affluence? Nobody?
No, sir.
Ishwar, you will observe immediately. You will observe from the dictionary and you will tell.
Abundance flow.
Hmm?
A flow or supply.
Yes, that's it. That's what. I hope. Just I am waiting to tell you so that others can respond. Can anyone tell? No? 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 Huh? Affluence means having something in plenty. Affluence means having something in plenty, having so much. Material affluence means there is a lot of growth of wealth during the Victorian age. I told you the features of the Victorian age the other day. Then only I told you that the raw materials from the English colonies flowed to England like anything. The cheap raw materials, cotton, indigo, iron ore, all these raw materials came to England at a cheaper cost. They used the labor, established industries, and they created the finished products and again sold them around the world and got more and more money. In this way, the people in England became so rich that they dominated the whole world. And this industrial development that took place in England and the availability of cheap raw materials to England gave place to many wars. England, France, Germany, Russia, USA, Italy, all these quarreled among themselves, and all these only after some 50 years after the Victorian age in 1914. All this culminated in the First World War in 1914. All these craving for raw materials and their what we call trying to dominate the colonies around the world where there are more and more natural resources. All these things you have to keep in mind. That is material affluence. Material affluence means having material affluence, more and more growth of wealth. Yeah. Next point. Did you get it? All of you, did you get it, Mansoor? Mansoor, did you get it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anish, have you understood? Anish, have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. You should join on time. You are joining late.
Sir, net browsing, sir.
Okay. You should
Slow,
try to
sir,
join.
net
You try to join a bit earlier. Okay, it's okay. No problem. Anyhow, you have joined. That's okay. Next, have you understood, Swati? Swati, have you understood? Okay. Next point. Next point.
Political consciousness.
Yeah, political consciousness. I was telling you that is related to what Mumtaz was telling. England society slowly turned from a rural society to an urban society. That means more and more towns were established, more and more industrialization, more and more labor, more and more people getting employed means more and more towns getting established, the villages getting turned into towns. So when more and more towns and more and more people get jobs, they try to educate their children, they try to read the newspapers, they try to gather the news regarding them. So there was more and more political consciousness. That is one of the important factors. Due to this, both are interlinked. The development of education and political consciousness and development of education, both are interlinked. One are interdependent. See, with the development of industries, more people got jobs. When more people got jobs, they got their children educated. When they on the other side, there was political consciousness among the people. So as there was political consciousness among the people, the role of House of Commons, the lower house in England, grew. The influence of House of Commons grew. Why? Because more and more people are politically conscious. When people are politically conscious, the political leaders or the representatives of the people will also be active, and they will see that the the interests of the people are protected. They see like that. That is a very important part of the. That's why as the representatives of the people protected the interests of the people, England developed. English society got more and more wealth. English people developed more. Though there was slavery of other side, on the other side with 12 hours work and all that. And all those things reflected in the novels of Charles Dickens. Next point.
Democratic reforms.
Yeah. Are you following? Are you able to follow, Mumtaz?
Yes, sir.
Madhu?
Yes, sir.
Are you able to follow?
Yes, sir.
If I am a bit faster, నేను ఒకలా fast గా ఉంటే, you tell me. I will be a bit slow. If you are not able to follow me, if I am speaking English quickly, you tell me.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Madhu, mute your microphone. Okay. So democratic consciousness, democratic society, democratic setup developed. That's what this Sharfu was also telling. In the first semester, we discussed how Anglo-Saxons came, Anglo-Saxons and Jutes, the three West Germanic tribes, how they came from England and how they were trying to establish their supremacy in England, and they want to prove that they are locals. All these things got settled during this period. And as the democratic setup was established, democratic society was established, all these reforms, the voting rights, the Reform Bill of 1837, all these things, some people got voting rights, and all these things changed the democratic setup in England, and more people. Earlier, only some people used to do the laws. They used to have their say. వాళ్ళ మాట మాత్రం చెల్లేది. Have their say అంటే మాట చెల్లటం. They used to have their say. But later, during the Victorian age, this democracy slowly got settled and people got accustomed to the democratic way of life. Next point.
Industrial and mechanical progress.
Yes, that is also an important point. And as Mumtaz rightly pointed out, the inventions that were made and discoveries that were made during the Victorian age and how they influenced the society. All these things you have to understand, keep in mind. I was telling you the other day how railways changed the way that trade and commerce were shaped in a particular manner, and how they progressed with the invention of railways. The raw materials were quickly exported from one place to another place. So industries flourished. And this mechanical development, industrial development, the telegraph, the more and more advancement in the printing, all these things helped the mechanical advancement and scientific inventions, and especially the way we look at mankind, definitely changed with the Origin of Species by Charles Darwin in 1859. He changed the conception of the human race, how humans originated. All these things came to the fore. These are the points. Well done, Sharfu. Very good. You did a good work. You worked well. Now next, Varakumari. Varakumari.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Victorian literature reforms to English literature. During the reign of Queen Victorian, 1837 to 1901, English writing from this era reflects the major transformation in most aspects of English life. Significant scientific, economic and technological advance to changes in class, structure and the role of religion in society. While the Romantic period was a time of abstract expressions and inward focus, essayists, poets, and novelists during the Victorian era. The 19th century is widely considered to be the golden age of the novel, and especially for British novels. Victorian era that the novel became the leading literary genre in English. A number of women novelists were successful in the 19th century, had used a masculine pseudonym.
Right, pseudonym. Pseudonym means pen name అని అర్థం. Yeah.
The Charles Dickens published in Pickwick Papers in 20 parts between April 1936 and November 1837. Ante, sir.
Good. Very good. Good, Varakumari. You tried your best. If you go on trying like this, you will also definitely improve. Very good. You did well.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Next, Mansoor. Mansoor. Hello.
Sir.
Come on. Yes.
In the history of the United Kingdom, the Victoria era was the period of Queen Victoria's reign from 20 June 1837 until her death on 22 January 1901. The era followed the Georgian period and preceded the Edwardian period, and its later half overlapped with the first part of the Belle Epoque era of continental Europe. Morally and politically, this period began with the passage of the Reform Act 1832. There was a strong religious drive for higher moral standards led by the non-conformist churches, such as the Methodist and evangelical wing of the established Church of England. Ideologically, the Victorian era witnessed resistance to the rationalism that defined the Georgian period and an increasing turn towards romanticism and even mysticism with the regard of religion, social values and art. Technologically, this era saw staggering amount of innovations that proved key Britain's power and prosperity. Doctors started moving away from tradition and mysticism towards a science-based approach. Modern medicine saw the light of day thanks to the adoption of the germ theory of disease and pioneering research in epidemiology. Multiple studies suggest that on per capita basis, the number of significant innovations in science and technology and of scientific geniuses peaked during the Victorian era and have been on the decline ever since. Domestically, the political agenda was increasingly liberal with a number of shifts in the direction of gradual political reform, social reform, and the widening of Francis. There were unprecedented demographic changes. The population of England and Wales almost doubled from 16.18 million in 1851 to 30.5 million in 1901. And Scotland's population also rose rapidly from 2.8 million in 1851 to 4.4 million in 1901. However, Ireland's population decreased sharply from 18.2 million in 1841 to less than 4.5 million in 1901, mostly due to immigration and a great famine. Between 1837 and 1901, about 15 million emigrated from Great Britain, mostly to the United States, Canada, South Africa, New Zealand, and Australia. Thanks to educational reforms, the British population not only approached universal literacy towards the end of the era, but also become increasingly well educated. The market for reading materials of all kinds boomed. The two main political parties during the era remained the Whigs and the Conservatives. By its end, the Labour Party had formed as a distinct political entity. These parties were led by such prominent statesmen as Lord Melbourne, Sir Robert Peel, Lord Derby, Lord Palmerston, Benjamin Disraeli, William Gladstone, and Lord Salisbury. The unsolved problems relating to Irish Home Rule played a great part in politics in the later Victorian era, particularly in view of Gladstone's determination to achieve a political settlement in Ireland. Understood?
Okay, very good, Mansur. Very good. You did well. But if you also, along with the social elements, if you also touch the literary elements, how these social elements affected the literature of the age. Mansur, mute Jay. How these political elements, how these changes in the political field affected the literature, how all these developments and changes in the politics, economics, social age, all these things, how all these reflected in the writings of the writers of the Victorian age, how they reflected them. How John Ruskin, in his On to Last, UNTO, are you writing? UNTO, On to the Last. UNTO, THE, the last, On to the Last. In 4 parts, in 4 chapters, he wrote that book. John Ruskin. And he presented the economic principles of the age in that book. And how we discussed at length how Charles Dickens' novels reflected the age. And with the growth of the middle class, the role of the women also improved. And so George Eliot, this Browning's, all these people, Brontes, all these people also got their an important place in the history of English literature. Next, Madhu, can you tell anything? Madhusudan? Madhusudan, will you tell?
Sir, no, sir.
No?
No, sir.
But tomorrow, no choice. Tomorrow you must tell.
Yes, sir.
Prepare ayi. At least prepare. You say you write down 2 sentences on a piece of paper and read that. That is enough.
Okay,
నువ్వు
sir.
ఓ పేపర్ మీద 2 వాక్యాలు రాసుకొని అది చదివినా పర్లేదు.
Okay, sir.
అర్థమైందా? అనీష్,
Okay, sir.
అనీష్,
Sir,
tomorrow you must also tell.
sir, అసలు టాపిక్ దేని గురించి సార్?
Okay, don't try to give excuses.
సార్ టాపిక్ దేని గురించి సార్?
Okay. Ashok.
Sir.
Tomorrow you must also write something and speak. Okay.
Sir, topic end, sir.
Tomorrow, Victorian age, I will tell. On Victorian age only, you tell on Victorian age only. What's the problem? Ishwar and Ravi Kumar. Hello, Ravi Kumar. Ravi. Mahesh.
సార్
మీరు కూడా ట్రై చేయాలి రేపు కొంత మాట్లాడడానికి మర్చిపోవద్దు.
ఓకే సార్
if you don't try you can't learn. Only if you try you can learn. This is a chance for you. Why? Because in the class directly if you want to speak before your friends you will feel shy. కొంచెం భయపడుతున్నారు ఫ్రెండ్స్ ముందు మాట్లాడాలంటే. But here you are sitting at your home, in your room, you can write on a piece of paper and read it. Then you will know how to that is the first type of practice. You will get confidence. With Atma Viswasam, you will get confidence and you will be able to speak freely later. That is the way you can develop your skills. If you don't try sitting at home also, you will never be able to speak in public. ఎప్పటికీ మాట్లాడలేరు పబ్లిక్ లో. మీరు అక్కడ కూర్చొని ఇంట్లో కూర్చొని కూడా ట్రై చేయలేకపోతే. ఈశ్వర్, మిస్టర్ ఈశ్వర్,
సార్
మాట్లాడాలి మరి అందరు కూడా. యూ షుడ్ ట్రై. ఓకే
ఓకే సార్.
ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ ఐ విల్ రైట్ ఈశ్వర్ నీ కోసం ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ ఐ విల్ రైట్ 5 or 6 sentences and send you in WhatsApp. You practice that. అదే చెప్పు. అర్థమైందా?
ఓకే సార్.
అదేంటి అది పదా నీ ఏమంటే తిరుగుతుంది రా కోడిపిల్ల. Okay, you mute. Well done, all of you. And coming to this Victorian age, with the dominance, there was a dominance of the novel, dominance of scientific discoveries, dominance of social development, dominance of social theories during the Victorian age. I told you that 1847, the Communist Manifesto was written by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. You might have come across this in political science and economics also. But that also changes the way we look at people, we look at workers in the industries, we look at children, we look at women. It also changes the way we look at all the people. It also influences the writers. These 3 books, one Communist Manifesto in 1847, Origin of Species by Charles Darwin in 1859, and Capital, book by Karl Marx in 1864. Capital by Karl Marx in 1864. All these also had a great influence on the Victorian age. all these changed the way how we look at men, how we look at women, how we look at the society as a whole, how the workers are being exploited by the industrial bosses, how cheap raw material is being used to exploit the easily available labor, and all these also got reflected in the novels of the Victorian age, writings of the Victorian age. On the other side, there was another movement that was brewing. Brewing, B-R-E-W-I-N-G, brewing means developing, growing side by side. The other day, I was telling you that though Alfred Lord Tennyson, the prominent figure of the Victorian age, began writing in 1827, his works began to be recognized from which year? From which year were the writings of Alfred Lord Tennyson became recognized? Can anyone tell?
1842.
1842. Yeah. Do you remember Mumtaz?
Yes, sir.
Okay. From 1842, his works began to be recognized. See, in Telugu we say Asthana Kavi. In the same manner, in English they are called poet laureates. Poet laureates. And William Wordsworth was made the poet laureate of England in 1843. These are the dates which you have to keep in mind while you are writing competitive exams. And in 1850, Tennyson was made the poet laureate. Poet laureate. Now I will give you one task. Now also we have poet laureates in England. Tomorrow you should tell me who are the last two poet laureates in England. Now who is the poet laureate? That means you have to name three. You should go back. Who is the poet laureate now? Who is the earlier one? Who is the penultimate one? Penultimate means if there are 10 numbers, 8 is the penultimate number. 9 is the last but one. So you must tell who is 8, 9, 10 now. That means you must tell who is the present poet laureate, the earlier one, and the one before. These three you must find from the net and you must tell me who are they. Don't listen to the class now. Don't search now only. Google search. Ishwar, you are very fast. Don't search now. So, William Wordsworth was the poet laureate in 1843 and Alfred Lord Tennyson was the poet laureate in 1850. But as I was telling you, let us discuss in detail tomorrow. But as I was telling you, along with these features which we have discussed now, and the influence of these features on the literature of the age, with the social, cultural, literary, mechanical, scientific, psychological, the role of women, and all these developments that took place from 1837 to 1901. Along with this, there was another important movement which was part of the Victorian age and which has its very good and excellent influence on the English literature, was the Pre-Raphaelite movement. Pre-Raphaelite. Write down. Spelling, write down. P-R-E. RAPHAELITE. Again, RAPHAELITE. Pre-Raphaelite movement. I told you what is the meaning of pre. PRE. Pre means
Before.
PRE. Pre means
Before.
Munduga.
yeah. Before. Good. Ishwar, good.
Munduga.
Munduga. Good Ashok. Good. PRE. Pre means before. Munduga. Raphaelite means Raphael. Raphael was a famous painter, you know. Raphael was a famous painter of the Renaissance age. So during the actually 1848 is the starting point of the pre-Raphaelite movement. 1848 is the starting point of the pre-Raphaelite movement. And the person who started the pre-Raphaelite movement was D.G. Rossetti. D.G. Rossetti. Dante Gabriel Rossetti. He was the one who started the pre-Raphaelite movement. Why it is named pre-Raphaelite movement? Because there were some people who wanted to look at the world just as it is. They wanted to bring the features of the art, painting, fine arts into literature. And they want to show to the world as it is. As it is. They want to show to the world the artistic features in the great works as it is truly. Let us discuss in detail the features of the pre-Raphaelite movement tomorrow. But now, Raphael was a great painter of the Renaissance age, around 1500s. And in 1840s and 1850s in England, there was an academy called Royal Academy. And that academy, they tried to influence the people of England, and they tried to force the people of England to follow the rules and regulations of the Renaissance age and also of the Raphaelite period. But these people who started the pre-Raphaelite movement, they thought that the society is being framed to such an extent that there is no chance for free thought. So these people, they try to go to the period of literature and art that is before Raphael. That before Raphael, before Renaissance, what is there? What was there? What was there before Renaissance? Can anyone tell? Renaissance sparked the beginning of the modern English. Renaissance sparked the beginning of the modern English. That's why Geoffrey Chaucer, the father of English, the father of English literature, was also the father of English Renaissance. Before Renaissance, the age was called as, anyone?
Age of Chaucer.
Before age of Chaucer?
Age of
Before the age of Chaucer, it was called as
Old.
the medieval age. The medieval age. The medieval ages, it was called. From around 1000, that is around 1068, the Norman conquest. I was telling you Norman conquest, 1068. In the second semester and the first semester we discussed Norman conquest and how the French influenced the English society with the conquest of Normandy. Do you remember? Everyone gutunda?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I told you earlier. So medieval ages. Ikkada in 1848 and 1840s and 1850s, what happened was the Royal Academy of England was trying to force the ideals of Renaissance on the English society. So some people who got vexed with this forcible spread of ideas, forcible thrust of ideas on them, they changed the mood and they went back. They studied the pre-Raphael era, that means the medieval ages, and they wanted to present the society as it is. They wanted to present art as it is, not for someone else. They wanted to present it as they look at it, as we look at it clearly. They wanted to change the material aspect of the Victorian age. They want to change the mood of the people from the material aspects of the Victorian age. That is the important point they have to keep in mind. That's why, as these people try to go back to the era of pre-Raphael, of the Renaissance period, before Renaissance, so this age is called pre-Raphaelite. Pre-Raphaelite, they are called. This is a separate movement that evolved during the Victorian period, alongside the ideals of the Victorian age, which you have mentioned. All this you have mentioned: the scientific temper, material outlook, democratic systems, development of education. Along with these things, this pre-Raphaelite movement also evolved. See, what are the characteristics of the pre-Raphaelite period? They glorified art. They glorified art. See, in the Victorian age, with the growth of materialism, everyone was after wealth. Everyone was after more and more wealth, more and more industrialization. So naturally, less people thought about art, culture, development in these fields. So these people tried to influence the people and move their thoughts away from this materialism towards art. They tried to glorify art. And they also tried to picturize the ugliness of the contemporary society. The ugliness of the society. The exploitation of the poor sections. They tried to glorify. They wanted to continue the ideals of the Romantic age. They wanted to continue with imagination, which was the hallmark of the Romantic poets. They tried to bring back imagination along with the influence of nature into the writings. They tried to put some end to the more and more materialistic thinking of the Victorian era, Victorian writers. These writers, mostly these pre-Raphaelite writers, they are sincere, they are simple, and they are morally serious. They are committed to their ideals. They did not win the hearts of more and more people. Only some writers got success. But they are strong morally. It has influenced the Victorian art. The Victorian art. What are the qualities of the pre-Raphaelite movement? Certain qualities we have. And what are the qualities that were imbibed or that were introduced into the literature of the pre-Raphaelite movement? We are having certain points. Let us discuss those points tomorrow. But tomorrow when you come, Ishwar, Mahesh, Ashok and Anish, these four should tell me the important names of the important writers of the pre-Raphaelite movement and what are the books or the poems written by them. Remember, I am again telling Madhu, Ishwar, Ashok, Mahesh. Tomorrow, you must tell the names of the important writers of the pre-Raphaelite movement and the poems and works written by them. Tomorrow, let us see what are the qualities, what are the features of the pre-Raphaelite movement and how they influence the English society. This is also another important question which will appear to you in the exam. Now, wait for one moment, 1 second. I will stop recording.